I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
It is still summer, it's still hot, and we're still on the midday muscle, baby. Let's go. Well, if there is one thing you can say about Nick Walker, he's not a guy to hold back his tongue. When he made some comments a few days ago about Hadi Choopan being a one-hit wonder, it really seemed to rub a few people the wrong way, including the champ himself, who I'm sure will have plenty to say about that when these two finally see each other in person 13 weeks from now at the Olympia. Sometimes we do think some of the commentary from people in our industry is a little too sanitized, or it's something off the wall that people are saying just to get clicks. But I don't think that's what Nick is doing here, largely because saying whatever comes to mind is part of his MO. But if you're gonna talk a big game, you better damn well bring something to back it up, because otherwise those public narratives can start to shift in a real hurry. For what it's worth, the amount of trash talk in every division pales in comparison to what we see from men's physique, especially when it comes to former five-time champ Jeremy Buendia, who's been a big topic of conversation over the last few months as he's gotten the ball rolling with his big comeback. Look, people can say what they will about Jeremy, but there's no denying the fact that this guy has made an incredible transformation over the last year or so. Because this is probably the first time since right after his title run that he actually looked like the guy we saw dominate this division for a half-decade. Obviously, a lot can change between now and November, not to mention the health piece, which has been a huge factor for him over the last few years as he's dealt with one injury or another. But if we can just assume for a minute that he stays healthy and remains on this trajectory, at the very least, you'd imagine he's going to make this thing real interesting, and these underlying subplots are part of the thing that makes those Olympia weekends so awesome. And aside from all that Jeremy drama, another big story that's going to be coming out of the men's physique department for Olympia weekend will be whether or not we see defending champ Aaron Banks continue the historic run he's been on over the last 18 months. For the most part, there haven't been a ton of notable headlines coming out of the division this year, except for during the run-up to the Arnold, when a lot of the conversation was centered around Aaron and the question as to whether he would be able to sustain that run of dominance. Another thing to maybe keep in mind here too would be the fact that this is the longest break that he's had between shows for the better part of the last year or year and a half, and you'd assume that being able to train for an extended period without being in a calorie deficit will be a net positive in terms of what he's able to bring to the table this year. And if he's better at the Olympia than he was at this past handful of shows, this one might not even be close, regardless of who else is in the lineup, because at that point, it means everyone else will be out there stuck competing for second. And our final story today is actually a cool little peek behind the curtains of a training session with Arnold and Ronnie Coleman, after these two linked up a few days ago to talk a little bit of shop. Seriously, what would you have given to be a fly on the wall in that gym? Because the amount of cumulative knowledge that those two have about bodybuilding, business, and even just life in general has to be worth a million times more than whatever that cost of admission would be. We've said this over and over again on the show, but you really do become the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. So any bit of time that you can spend being a sponge around ultra high achievers like this almost has to raise your baseline by default. That's it. We're done. Thanks for watching.